is the history and the stuff that you don't like. My Fed breakdowns are immaculate. Like we'll actually teach you what's going down, what's actually happening, how to interpret it. Now, the only difference is basically a bit based off your own experience. You might be a slightly more negative or slightly more positive, which is the variance there. But we got a lot of new watchers. I mean, we have a lot of new FNF guys. I've had a lot of people DM me. They just subscribe to the channels. Shout out to the new FNF people who are coming over and just watching the channel now. But a lot of people don't know that whole history. That just took us up to Paul Volcker in the 70s. And so after Paul Volcker, right? They're like, "Thank you, Volcker, for saving us, but you also fucked us." Because economy bad, politicians do bad. If politicians do bad, I'm coming for your head. So they got Paul Volcker out of there, and then, but in back for all the gold guys back in the day were like, I mean, like if you ask, is like, well, it's sort of like asking a really racist guy, a really racist, like if you're asking it's such a bad metaphor, but fuck it, but like imagine you have a really racist white dude that hates black people, right? And he's like, I hate all black people, but that was one of the good ones. Like that's how they act. I swear to God, like these gold bugs. I've been around with these gold bugs for years. That's how they are. Oh, the Federal Reserve is fucking evil, but yeah, Paul Volcker was one of the good ones only. But like besides the rest of them, because he actually did the right thing. He fucking raised the interest rates and stopped the dollar from collapsing. But the rest of these get clipped. Hey, shut up. But the rest of them.
What is white on white racism called? Is there a term for that these days?
White on rice.
I like that. I like that because people like be getting offended at anything these days. God damn. But anyway,
no, it's hilarious and stuff. But so that was all that was going on there. So from there, interest rate 17%, too high. Even then, because you have to understand, the United States basically almost had no debt. Credit card debt was at all-time low. Most women were still not working. Economy was actually still pretty good. I'm talking about like consumer debt down, GDP debt really down. I'm talking about the economy was really healthy. This is the reason why Paul Volcker could do it is because the economy was actually very decent in terms of like we weren't over debted yet. We still had money. The economy was still working, a lot of trades jobs. Everything was still functioning. People still getting married. Some people still fucking and having kids. I mean, America. We were okay. Yeah, the 70s.
I said we were born, right?
Yeah, we weren't born yet, but still, but like
we were, or at least in the 80s I was born, right? So yeah, and then the 90s you said,
and then the 90s and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So okay, so then they brought in someone called Alan Greenspan, and so Alan Greenspan, I don't know if I think he was bald since forever. I mean, basically, I think forever bald, basically, or balding. But Alan Greenspan, guy we wear dark rimmed glasses, he basically starts taking the interest rates down over the next 25 years. So he was basically the head of the Federal Reserve. From like the damn near the end of the 70s, all the 80s, up until the fucking crisis that happened with George W. Bush during his second term. You know how crazy that is? You had basically one guy sitting at the head of the shogun for 25 years, at the head of the Fed, and what he did is something called the Greenspan put, which basically started lowering interest rates every year. And this is why we had the booming 80s, because basically by increasing the interest rates that high, it reset all the debt markets. People started saving, people started fixing themselves. Capitalism actually worked, and basically so the economy, even though it wasn't that unlevered itself even more, went back to basics. And then when you lower interest rates, people can borrow money. U.S. economy vertical. This is why we love the 80s so much, because the economy went like this.
It's the beginning of that Ponzi, right? And so, and it's interesting the flip that they did with Japan, because the United States was like, no, we can't have Japan performing better than us, right?
Yeah.
And so they're like, okay, we're both coming up. All right, tone down a bit,
Yeah. They're like, back in the day, they're like, Tojo needs to calm down. He may have actually still, but no, he died already. I think Tojo died in the 60s or something.
He died. Yeah. Well, like they what do you call it? In Japan, they have these the dates, like Japanese dates. It's not the dates like from the Western calendar.
Oh, it's from their calendar onward.
Well, it's like each time the emperor dies, there's a new era. So like the Showa era was in the 80s or whatever. So that was the main guy in power. So and they either die or they step down. There's only one that stepped down. So Tojo must have been dead way before the 80s.
Right. Yeah. So that's interesting. all hail the God Emperor. But he actually was a God Emperor.
I had a student once that said, like, I actually believed he was a god, and she was like 80 or something, you know. But she was like, you know, she was a little girl or whatever, and she would always just like leave her house, scare the chicken into like popping out an egg, grab it, go to school with like rice and an egg or whatever during World War II. But she was like, she remembered the propaganda. She was like, yeah, we all believed he was a god. You know, it was kind of crazy.
Insane, dude. But I mean, you kind of believe. But if you actually look at what happened during his lifetime, and sorry, I nerd out. I love World War II. Like
I love history, man. History is like, because if you don't learn history, you're doomed to repeat it, right? And you know, even if the powers that be repeat it, at least you can see what the rhyme's going on and be like, okay, time to get off this merry-go-round, or you know, sidestep it and get into the Citadel, build the Citadel, and you know, build that crypto bag.
Right, and this is only a taste of what we're going to talk about in the course. We're going to go because some of this we're going to just as detailed as we're doing it right now. We're going to talk also about crypto history, which is very important. We're going to have crypto history lessons in the course because this is how we teach you what's happened, and you'll be surprised. Like most people don't even know that Ethereum hard forked. People don't know the original Ethereum is Ethereum Classic. But we'll explain. I'm not going to get into that tangent and stuff like that. The one there. Oh my god, I was gonna go somewhere with this. Okay, so basically, yeah, he started. Yeah, he's like, we got 5 seconds of AFC, and then we have all this right here, right? Yeah, I know, right? But it's leading towards that, right? So basically, Greenspan starts lowering the rates into the 80s, into the 90s. Things are going really well. Then we ended up getting Bill Clinton, that started kind of this whole movement that further got kind of compounded by George W. Bush Jr., which was, hey, why shouldn't every American own a home? Which is actually, you know, at the time, yeah, it's not a terrible, like, yeah, let's make it easier for people to get homes and everything. Cool. And basically Greenspan basically went with it, and he effectively took the interest rates to zero. Not complete zero, but like 1 or 2%. And effectively, it's like he started up here, and his job was basically to do this over 25 years. And in the 2000, right after the 2000, we had the tech boom and the tech crash. After the tech crash, they took interest rates to damn near zero again, and said let it flow. Congress passed a bunch of bills in order to allow ninja loans, allow all this other fucking crazy things with Fannie and Freddie Mac and everything like that, and we boomed. And did very well. And the reason some of you guys are born is because of that. That's kind of the fucked up thing about all this stuff is during good times, people have kids because you have the money to do so. So some of you guys here watching who were born in early 2000s, the only reason you were born is basically because your dad made money and she got laid and your mom fell for it.
About Google, honey.
It's true. I mean, you know, but that's what happened. Like if you were born in the very late 1990s, it's because your mom and dad made a bunch of money on tech stocks, basically, or tech related companies were hiring tons of people. That's kind of what it is, because some of these tech bros are making money. People are building houses, and that's the reason some of you guys are born now. And then the housing boom. That's the reason a lot of you guys were born. There's a lot of kids 2001. 2002 all the way to 2008 were because of that. Well, that's right, Flynn. Yeah, don't believe the hype. My dad was picking bitches off the slum. Don't even play.